The shir is Le'ilu Nishmas Malka Basar Bevram Shalom, and all of the children of Klal Yisrael who were nifter in the last few months. We are experiencing an emotional Holocaust. We have lost over 120 Yiddish kindlech from frum homes who died in the last 7 months from overdoses and suicides. And that's just a small percentage from those who tried and were saved. And that's just a small percentage of those who may not be so far, but they're in pain and doing drugs and unsuccessful. We are in Klal Yisrael since the Holocaust. Would we ever imagined that there will be parents burying their children in America? From what? From where? Brothers and sisters saying Kaddish and writing speeches for shloishims for their sisters. As we go through this emotional Holocaust, I hope that this learning from the Nesivas Shalom on Tisha can reveal to us a light in the darkness. The Nesivas Shalom says, when he talks about the Churban, the greatest Churban, the greatest of all Churbanos, the source of all Churban, the Churban Beis HaMikdash, both of them on Tisha B'Av, there is no worse tragedy, no worse day for us. And yet we find the Chazal say that when they came in, the enemies came in, into the Beis HaMikdash, into the Heichel, and what did they see? They saw the Kruvim, they were Mu'urim zeh b'zeh, they were facing each other, they were intertwined. And l'chayr, it's very shver, because we know that when Klal Yisrael did the Ratzon Hashem, that's when the Kruvim were Mu'urim zeh b'zeh. But when Klal Yisrael was not doing the Ratzon Hashem, they looked away. So how is it possible during the Churban, at the time of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, which was clearly because we were not doing the Ratzon Hashem, we were the source of why the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. So we were really, really bad. So how could it be that when the enemies came into the Heichel, they saw the Kruvim Mu'urim zeh b'zeh? And also, the Mezritcher Maggid says, a pshat in the pasuk in Eicha. In Eicha we say, Kol roitfei hisiguha bein hamitzarim. That any enemy who chased us in these bein hamitzarim, in these weeks of tragedy, of the 3 weeks and the 9 days leading up to Tisha B'Av, anybody who chased after us caught up to us and killed us. Says the Maggid Mizrich that it's going on us. Anybody who runs after Hashem in these days, Kol roitfei, whoever runs after Hashem and says, I want to have a relationship with you, hisigua, you can reach Hashem bein hamitzarim in these weeks. And l'chayr, it's very shver. Because b'pashtus, these are weeks of fighting with Hashem. This is weeks of destruction. This is weeks where Hashem says, get out of my house. I don't want to look at you anymore. So how could it be? How could it be that the Kruvim Mu'urim zeh b'zeh? And how could it be that these are weeks to run after Hashem and create a relationship with God? That He's close to us, that we can access to Him. And the Mezritcher Maggid explains that when Hashem is in the palace, it's very hard to reach Him. You have to make an appointment, and it's hard to get in, so to speak. But when the king is on the road, it's easier to approach Him. And he says, over here, the king's on the road in these weeks, and therefore it's easy to approach Hashem. Easy to approach Hashem? We're in the middle of a massive war. Hashem is burning down our house. He's throwing us out. Jews are getting killed all over in the time of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. And now's the time of year. I would have thought this is the time of year to stay away from God. God is not happy with us. That's what I would have thought. Listen to what the Nesivas Shalom says. Everything that we think about a relationship with Hashem is wrong. Everything that we think that Hashem hates us and He throws us out and He doesn't want to see us anymore and He's fed up with us and He's disgusted by our sin, that maybe would be in a relationship with a stranger. But there's one relationship where it defies all logic and it turns it on its head. And that's the relationship between a father, a mother, a parent, and a child. And he describes, listen to this very carefully, there's 3 types of an eis ratzon, of a time of yearning and wanting and closeness, that exist by a king and his child. When the son is a ben mutzlach, a successful child, and the father always has kavod, respect from him, he's so smart and he's making treaties and he's expanding the malucha, the malchus, the business is expanding. The kid that you're proud of, you know that kid? Wow, that awakens an eis ratzon from the parent. The king says, look at my child, I'm so proud of him. Shefela, come here, what do you want? What can I give you? Another $100 million, of course. And as us as parents, we could understand the kid that comes home, another 100 plus. Gavaldik, another Talmud HaChodesh, Talmud HaShavua. So easy. A kid goes into business and he's successful and he's buying and he's flipping and he's great and he gives tzedakah and he's being honored and he's doing chesed, tzagat, salat. It's ma'or rachamim by a parent. It's ma'or eis ratzin by a parent. The father comes in. What can I do for you? I have so much covered from you. Says the Nesivas Shalom. But there's a different bechina of an eis ratzin, another concept of a eis ratzin, a time of wanting. When the king has a ben mefager, a retarded child. And this retarded child, this kid is missing mental capacity, and he can't do anything. Everything needs to be done for him. Anything he goes and does, he messes up. He tries to eat, it falls on the floor. Or even if a person is halfway a ben mefager, unsuccessful, lo yitzlach. Every time I give my kid money for an investment, he loses it. Whatever he touches goes down, goes bad. Or the kid who goes to school and he has learning disabilities and difficulties, and every PTA is it's such a heartbreaking time. The ben mefager, the unsuccessful child, says in the Nesivas Shalom, it is also ma'or rachamim, because the father knows that without me helping him, he's lost. Nobody's going to help him. He can never make it on his own. He's never going to succeed. He's never going to be successful. And therefore, I got to help this kid. And therefore, even though it's frustrating, and even though it's difficult, it's ma'or, a type of eis ratzin by the parent. When he sees his kid failing, and he sees his kid falling, and he sees his kid hurt and in pain, and he says, I got to go ahead and waste my time now and help this kid. What can I do? Because I know, if I don't help him, nobody's going to help him. If I don't help him, he'll never make it. So there's two types of eis ratzin. There's the eis ratzin of the successful child. We could all relate to that. And then there's the eis ratzin, the time of wanting and yearning that gets awakened from a parent that has a lo yitzlach child, a child that's not successful. And maybe you could even say that this awakening of ratzin to help out the child who's not matzliach is perhaps even greater than helping the one that is matzliach, because the one who's matzliach, at the end of the day, he has friends and he's successful and he's good and he's learning and everything's great. He doesn't need you so much. That need inside of a parent. My kid needs me. That's very powerful. And that awakens the parents to actually do something sometimes even more than the kid who's matzliach. It says in the Nesivas Shalom, at the time of the Churban Beis Hamikdash, it was a time of matzav gerua b'yoser. This was the worst time. We were such shiflus hamatzav, shval hamatzav. We were low, we were broken. We were spiritually bankrupt. We were emotionally bankrupt. We were physically bankrupt. They were murdering us. They were killing us. They were enslaving us. We were mamish so messed up. We were in so much pain. And that was ma'or rachamim, tremendous rachamim that Hashem had for Klal Yisrael. Al kain, nis'ayir eis ratzin migoydel harachmana shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Klal Yisrael. It awakened not the eis ratzin when you're successful, not the Kruvim urim zebazeh, because I'm so proud, Mami and Tati are so proud of you. So the Kruvim, the Mami and Tati are urim zebazeh, and we're shining our light on our child. You got another 120 on your exam. Not that one. The eis ratzin of Mami and Tati are coming together because we got to take care of our kid. And it awakens tremendous. We're calling people, we're calling the therapist, we're calling the people, we're calling the hospital, we're looking for doctors, how we're going to rescue our kid. A lot of work and a lot of effort. We get used to, we don't evaluate it properly, right? All that work and effort that comes to help that kid that's a lo yitzlach, that's an awakening in the parents. Keeping them up at night, spending money, spending time, spending effort, that's also an eis ratzin. It's an awakening of love, of rachamim from the parents. The eis ratzin gadol kazeh yesh boy ma she'ein boy b'shar hamoyadim shebahem ha Yisrael b'madrigasim ha'ru'uya. Says Chazal, there was never and there will never be a yontif like the day of Shechar Beis Hamikdash. What? What are you so happy? The day that my father threw me out of the house, I will never remember such a day. How can that be? How can that be? It says in the Nesivas Shalom, because what do we celebrate when we celebrate a yontif? Forget about the details of the story. We celebrate the connection, the passion, the relationship, the unconditional love, the undying love, the undeserving love that Hashem ties himself to Klal Yisrael. And that is awakened the most. And when that is awakened on the high level, we celebrate that. And yes, it was celebrated many times. When Hashem rescued us from Mitzrayim, when Hashem gave us the Torah, when Hashem sheltered us with sukkahs, of course, Chanukah, Purim, but you know when the greatest time that Lamaisa Hashem was full of mercy for us? When we lost the Beis HaMikdash and we were enslaved. And at that moment Hashem cried out. He told the angels, leave me alone. If you're not going to let me cry, I'm going to throw you out, I'm going to cry. He said, Kayhanai, my Kayhanim Heichanatim, where are you? Banai Heichen, where is everybody? I told you to behave, I sent you messengers, and you didn't listen to me. Abba L'maisa, what was the reaction of Hashem? A father that throws out Rachmana Litzlan, his child, from the house. Baruch Hashem, from the 300 families that came to me, we never ever had a parent do that. Not because they're living in fear, because we de-escalate the situation, de-escalate. So that way they don't want to throw the kid out and they're living actually, Be'ezus Hashem, with calm. But those parents at Nebuch, they don't know how to de-escalate the situation, and everything they do, it makes it worse and worse and worse. And then people advise them, you got to throw the kid out, you got to lock the kid out of the house. So I always ask one question to those parents. Where were you that night? What do you mean, where was I? I was in bed. You locked your kid out of the house and then you stayed in bed? Really? He looks at me like I'm crazy. Well, why would I be outside? You locked your child out of the house. Okay, someone advised you, you didn't have a choice. But then you should have locked yourself out of the house. You should have followed your kid to find him in the train station, in the park, sit next to him on the bench. He's going to say, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? I had to lock my son out of the house. I'm not staying in a bed and a fluffy pillow and a fluffy mattress and eating and staying in a warm house and eating cooked supper. I'm going to be with you because I am tied to you. It's the wrong tipul for this type of treatment. It's not necessary. But at least if you did the wrong thing, wouldn't that be the right thing to do? The Zohar HaKadosh says that when Hashem threw us out of the Beis HaMikdash, something very interesting happened. We all went packing, and we were traveling, we were walking out. All of a sudden Hashem is, Kaviyachol, packing his bags, right? He's collecting all his stuff and packing it up, and he's going out. I would have thought that Hashem stayed in the Makam HaMikdash and said, guys, you ruined it, you destroyed it, it's your fault. When you fix it, I'll be here waiting for you. I'm here, I have everything. You destroyed it. I make the rules, I pay the mortgage. It's my house. You can't zustel, you can't conform. It's your decision. Go right ahead. It's a big world out there. Go right ahead. I'm waiting here for you. When you want to come home, let me know. When you want to behave, let me know. I would have thought that's what Hashem says. Says the Zohar HaKadosh. That's not a father. That could be a boss. That could be a different relationship, not a father. Even though it was from our sins, Shechina Goyli Mohem. Because Lamaisa, when we fail Hashem, He feels our pain and He doesn't want us to fail. And sometimes things happen that He has to do because that's just the way that it is. It's not for now to explain why bad things happen and why Gullus had to happen. It's a different Nesivas Shalom for a different day. But Lamaisa, if you look at that barometer, if you look at that level, the Ahava level, it's spiked up way high when Hashem locks that door. It's spiked up so high, that feeling inside, I can't sleep tonight. I can't sleep tonight. My child is locked out of my house. Even if I blame him, even if it's his fault, and by the way, Lamaisa, it's never their fault because statistically, there's a reason that's causing all of that. Not for now. But even if it's his fault. Such a Russia, such a Ben Mefager, such a loser, so unsuccessful. It's his fault. He ruined everything. But a tata doesn't go to sleep at night. It's Taka my kid's fault, but it's my kid. Those fathers who lock their kids out, the ahav inside of them is burning, is raging. If they get a call in the middle of the night that your kid was mugged, or your kid was stabbed, or your kid was hurt, or your kid Chas v'Shalom hurt himself, they're going to run, and the ahava level, the ahava, the love level will spike. Even in anger. I used to work with kids all the time, and I told them, you should know that when your father threw you out of the house, that anger was because of love. Because if you were a nephew or a cousin or a neighbor, he would just smile at you. Hey, nice to see you. Smoking on Shabbos wouldn't bother him. The whole fight and the argument, I don't think that I'm not saying he handled it the right way. You have to get out of your anger and handle it the right way. He did the wrong thing, but you should know it comes from love. It comes from love. And that's what the Nesivas Shalom is saying. Lemais, if you look at the love level the love level during the Churban was as high as during a chasana, as during a wedding, as during a graduation. The love level of that father that throws his kid out of the house, Chalila Rahmana Litzlan, you should never do that, by the way. Don't do that. But that love level, it feels like anger and hate and all that. It's the love. If you didn't care about him so much, you'd go to sleep that night. Make a barbecue. Go. Have fun. You'd be crying. Your pillow would be wet, shaking. If not, something's wrong with you. That's all love. It's love turned, frustrated love is anger. Frustrated love is hate. It's just frustrated love. If you didn't care so much, it wouldn't bother you so much. It says in Nesivas Shalom, that's what we have to understand. That the love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for us, for Klal Yisrael, is not like a boss. It's not like a husband. It's not like a friend. There's no relationship like it except one relationship. It's a bechina of banim. Like it says, banim atem, l'Hashem alekechem, you are a child. U'v'ahavas ha'av libno yesh shalosh sheifanim. There's really three ways. Before we had two ways, there's a third way. Number one, there's a regular love when your child is home, and he's living at home, and you're happy, and you're proud, and he's at the Shabbos table, regular, normal life. That, and your love level from 1 to 100, you're hanging out somewhere, 60, 65, 70. It's very nice, normal situation. Number two, v'yoyser mizeh, hi ahava kasher ben matzi rachik mi'aviv, ve'eni yachal l'sroi simoi. If your child moves to a different country, I know I have children living in Eretz Yisrael, and my love level, I miss them so much sometimes, and it awakens. You're on the phone, if you have Einikluch, anybody that knows you have Einikluch, you watch them, you FaceTime, I didn't do it yet, but I plan on it. And you miss them, you look at a picture. When people that you love are far away from you, it awakens a love. It awakens a special love. Uchichal shehu rachik yoser, hagaguim yoser chazokim. And the further that this loved one of yours is from you, the gaguim, the yearning, is stronger. The further the child, the stronger the gaguim. And then there's a third bechina, a third concept of love that is much higher and stronger than all of those. When the child is deadly ill, the child is sick, Rahman al-Islam layaleinu, and then they decide that there has to be an operation on the child. When a child is going into surgery, the love that the parents have, the Rahmanus, the mercy level, that yearning level, the gaguim level, everything is peaking. But imagine if there's no other surgeon except for the father. Imagine that the father is the doctor, and he is the one, in order to save his child, that he has to cut the flesh of his son. That he has to go ahead and do that to save his son's life. That the father has to cut into the flesh of his own child. Mitzad echad, the father knows that he has to save his son's life with this operation. There's a story of a father and a son that went on a trek up a mountain, and all the way on top of the mountain, the son somehow fell, and his shoulder got squeezed between two rocks, and he couldn't get it out. They could not get the arm out. And if they would have stayed like that, they would die of starvation. After a few days of waiting, they were both going to die. And the father had to sever the arm off of his child without any anesthetics, without anything. He had some kind of a tool or a wood or a rock, and slowly, slowly he ripped off his child's arm and carried him and helped him down and saved his son's life and his life. I'm not talking about how tragic that is. I'm not talking about how difficult that is. But can you imagine the love connection, the yearning, the gaguim, the feelings that the father has at that moment when he has to sever that limb to save his son's life? Liboy nikra bekirboy, his heart is ripped to shreds that he has to cut his son. And he knows the son is screaming, Tati, why are you doing this to me? Mommy, why are you doing this to me? The son is screaming out. He's in so much pain. But inside the heart is ma'ir, tremendous ava chazaka b'yoser. The greatest love, says the Nesivas Shalom. The love that Hashem has for Klal Yisrael is ahava aza gedoyla b'li gvul b'li seif. No matter what we do, no matter what sin we do, Hashem's love for us is endless. We cannot fathom, just like Hashem is endless, and you can't imagine. What does endless mean? Hashem is infinite. What's infinite? What's infinite? We can't imagine infinite. His love for us is infinite and endless, and nothing could stop it. It says, I love you. Hashem said, I love you. And tzaddikim say that Hashem purified all the love in the world. And he couldn't find anything that comes close to the love that a parent has to a child. And that's why he said, Ahafti eschem Amar Hashem. That the Eibishter wanted to feel. He put on himself, I am going to feel the feelings of love that a parent has for a child. According to this mashal that we just said, the father is cutting the son. And when the father cuts that child in order to save him, to do this operation, it's ma'oy rachmanus ve'ahava gedoyle b'yoser. So dafka bizman l'churban. Now we can understand. When Hashem is ripping apart Klal Yisrael, it awakens a tremendous ahava in a oifin miyuchad, in a special way that you can't get from when he's proud of us. Yes, when the Beis HaMikdash was there, and the Kaihanim, and we were tzaddikim, Avada, the love was great. But inside that love is much stronger when your kid is drowning, when your kid is in pain. So during the Charban, mitzad echad, it looked like tremendous midas hadin. Midas hadin, hakasha b'yoyse, the most difficult midas hadin, judgment day. Judgment day. Aber sagt the Nesivas Shalom, you should know that be'etzem, the Churban Beis HaMikdash was just a concept of a nituach kosha, a difficult surgery. Because of the sins of Klal Yisrael, this needed to happen in order to keep Klal Yisrael alive. V'dafka b'shas ha'churban, and dafka from that churban, that destruction. It awakened bipnimiyos, in the internal essence of God. It awakened a rachmanos, a mercy and a love, which is greater than any mercy and love that exists in the entire world. And that's why the Kruvim u'mu'urim zebazeh. It was to reveal, to let us know, because listen, if we wouldn't have seen this, we wouldn't know this. If we didn't have this chazal, we would think that Hashem gets sick and tired of us. You're not doing the Ratzon Hashem. I can't look at you. You disgust me. Some parents do that, Nebuch. They don't understand what a parent is. You disgust me. Can't look at you. No, when you disgust me and you're being destroyed, the Kruvim u'mu'urim zebazeh ba'oifin miyuchad. Legalei shebepnimi yisrael anyanim. You want to know what's really happening in the heart of Hashem? Goydel ahavas Hashem hi beli gvul v'soif. Yeah. And dafka, because at that moment, on the external situation, things were so bad. We were having so many losses. Parents were crying over the loss of their children. Children were crying over the loss of their family members. Dafka, in that pain, you should know, Gilui HaKadosh Baruch Hu Goydel Ahavasei Yisrael. He showed you a glimpse. The Kruvim u'mu'urim zebazeh. Maybe Mami and Tati are not together planning your chasana with tears of joy, but Mami and Tati are together with tears of pain. But never think for one moment that Mami and Tati are not there. Never think for one moment that in the pain Hashem is not there. And that's Pshat Sh'le'yehoye yoymoyed liYisrael ki yoyim shechara by Beis HaMikdash. And that's why it says Kara L'Moyed, that Tisha B'Av is a Moyed. What are you so happy about? You know what we're happy about? Because we needed to know this. We needed to know this message, that while you're destroying the Beis HaMikdash, you care about me. That while you're causing people to die, and there's a Holocaust, and there's an Inquisition, and there's parents burying children, we needed to know for now that you really care about us. And how would we know that? It's only one way. Kruvim u'urim zebazeh. And that proved to us something that we need to know forever and that is so precious to us. And yes, we will call that a moed. We will call that a festival because it awakened in us the understanding that Hashem, mamish, really loves us. Ki az niskala goydel rachmanis v'goydel ahavas Hashem b'li gvul u'b'li soif sha'kruvim u'urim zebazeh. That's a reason to party. That's a reason to have a festival. That's the greatest celebration. It's sad that it came from those events. But the revelation that Hashem is going to stick with us, no matter what we do, no matter how far we fall, We sinned terribly. We did Avodah Zarah. We were messed up. And Hashem loves us unconditionally, the same, even stronger. Isn't that a reason to celebrate? We're not celebrating the Charbon part. We're celebrating the revelation. And we need this. We need this for today. We need to go every single day and remember and know and believe that in the Charbon, in the Golus, in the darkness, Hashem really, really cares about us so much. So loving to us. He wants us. And then he says, Pshat is unbelievable. The Svarim HaKadoshim say that the Chaf Beis, Yemei Bein HaMetzarim, the 22 days of Bein HaMetzarim from when we start the 3 weeks, right? It's 22 days, including Tisha B'Av. It's mechuven, exactly equates, it's mechuven, compared to, no, it's a better word, but it's, to the Yemei HaMayadim Shel Reishis Hashana. Wow. The 22 days from Shavasa B'Tammuz until after Tisha B'Av is compared to the 22 days from Rosh Hashanah until Simchas Torah. Hold on, and you know what that means? That means that the Yemei Bein HaMetzarim in the Pnimius is the same kavana of the Yomim Tovim that are tremendous Or Gadol of Ahavas Hashem. But there's something even more crazy about that. There's something that's mamash so unbelievable, it's mind-blowing. According to the Cheshbon, the last day of the 22 days of the Yemei Bein HaMetzarim is what? Tisha B'Av. What's the last day of the 22 days starting Rosh Hashanah? Simchas Torah. It's unbelievable. Al pi cheshbon zeh, Tisha B'Av is mechuven keneged Yom Simchas Torah, shehu hayoyim ha'achron shel tkufas hamayadim. U'lechayra, fragt in Nesivas Shalom, he says, I don't understand. Simchas Torah is the Yom Tov Hagadol V'Sameach B'Yoser Eitzel Yisrael. This is the happiest day. We take the Torah, we dance, the kids getting pekelach. It's a happy day. It's an easy Yom Tov. You don't have to eat a lot of matzah. You don't have to do a lot. You're just happy that you're dancing with the Torah. It's a day of tremendous simcha, of the relationship, of the marriage, of connection to Hashem through limud HaTorah. We grab the Torah and we dance and we're happy. It's the day of yichud ben Kutsh B'Chu Yisrael. The day of connection, of yichud, of a deep connection, a passionate connection between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. A bechina of Kruvim Urim Zeh B'Zeh, because we're doing the Ratzon Hashem, we're embraced in each other's arms. We're celebrating the relationship, the good, wonderful, fun, happy, beautiful relationship. How could it be that Tisha B'Av is mechuven keneged that? Do you understand the answer already? Pshat is, like we said of the mashal before, that the Churban Beis HaMikdash is a bechina of a father that is cutting into his son, a surgeon that is cutting into his child in order to save his life. And that's Ma'ir B'Liba Yahava G'doyle Rachmanis Muflegas Al B'noi. It's Ma'ir awakens so much love and mercy from the parent to the child. Shebepnimius, Harizek B'Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah is like the day of tremendous awakening of love and mercy when you walk your kid down the chuppah. And that same love and mercy awakens when your kid goes bankrupt, or when your kid hurts himself, or when your kid goes through difficulty, or when you're angry at the kid. It's love that is infuriated, it becomes anger, but it's love. The love level, the care level, the rachmanis level. Sometimes we don't know, how to show the kid that we love you and we have rachmanis on you. It comes out bad, but we have such rachmanis on our kids. Hey, what happened to you? I gave you everything. All you have to do is behave. It's not just Jewish people. I was at a business meeting with a Chinese woman who was worth about $1 billion. She came here as an immigrant with her husband, and she owns a tremendous amount of real estate. She's worth at least $1 billion with a B. B. And somebody told her at the meeting that I deal with parents, the kids go, get in trouble. And she comes over to me afterwards and she says she has 2 kids, a girl and a boy, and the boy is 15 years old. He dropped out of school. He joined a gang. He has piercings, tattoos. He colored his hair blue. He's chutzpahdik to her. And he's not listening. He's rebellious. She's saying, why you do this to me? Why you do this to me? And the husband is going crazy. I can give the kid 500 million reasons to behave. Just behave. You and your sister are going to inherit $1 billion. You had every reason to behave. You have everything going for you. You look at our kids on the street. You have parents who love you, who care for you. And the parents are thinking, just behave. Just behave. Why are you doing this to me? But the fact is that that's the love. What you do, and hopefully you know how to deal with it, or even if you don't and you get angry, but that's the love that's driving you. The care, the concern. The love is driving you. Sometimes it drives you crazy. That's the love. Says the Nesivas Shalom that that's pshat. It's equal. The revelation of love in times of pain, in times of churban, reveals a love that is equal to the love on Simchas Torah. The love level is so high when we are in pain. The love level is so high when Hashem has to punish us. The love level is so high when we sin and we are down. Love? So high. Care, concern, and love. And the Kruvim HaMe'urim Zeh B'Zeh. The Kruvim HaMe'urim Zeh B'Zeh, because in the Pnimius that's what's happening. And therefore, Kol Roitfei Sigua Bein HaMitzarim, at the same time that the Pashut Pshat is that all our enemies can come and chase us and they will find us in these days and they will kill us. Such a crazy time? Yeah, that means we're in danger. Yeah, that means that this is the time that we can chase Hashem. And He is found. He's not going to stay in the palace. Now you understand Pshat from before? The mashal was, when the king is in the palace, it's very hard to reach him, but he's on the road. Why isn't he in the palace? Because his kids are on the street. Because when his kids are on the street and being tortured and tormented, and falling into criminal activities and doing drugs and getting into trouble, then that's the time that Hashem says, I can't stay in the palace here anymore. I am not going to stay here and have a nice cozy home while my kids are getting beaten up and falling and losing. For whatever reason it needs to be, but I'm not sleeping here. So Hashem takes it on the road. And that's why, to the degree that we are in trouble, that's the degree that we have access to Hashem. To the degree that we are Kol Roitfei Itzlu Bein HaMitzarim, this is the time that all our enemies can catch us. So Hashem says, okay, so I am there. And therefore, we could find Him. B'yosei karev. It's a type of kirva. It's a type of closeness. Because He's not going to stand by on the side while we're in trouble. For whatever reason that it's bashert, He can't prevent it. Just like that father doing the surgery can't prevent it. But He's not letting you go into surgery alone. I once had to take my kid into a surgery, a minor surgery. We held his hand. I wouldn't say, oh, you're going for surgery? Okay, bye, take care. And the more dangerous it would be, the more we would be there holding his hand. You can't be at work. You can't be at home when your kid is struggling. Your kid's on the street. You go on the street. You have to be on the street. Your heart has to be on the street. You can't have business as usual. Oh, you want to see me? Make an appointment. Not when you're drowning. Not when you're dying. Not when you're struggling. Not when you're challenged. Not when your life is being destroyed. Whether it looks like you're doing it or not. The bottom line is I care about you more than blaming you. And I got to be out there with you on the street. The more that the Roitfei, his Siguha, were able to catch us, the more Hashem had to be with us. Shekol elu haroitzim mechapsim l'skarav l'Hashem Yisbarach, his Siguha davke bein hamitzorim she'ozi choylum l'hagia l'Hashem Yisbarach u'l'skarav l'goydel ha'abasa Yisbarach. And now we understand Pshat. The Oyev Yisrael, the Apteruv, says that Shabbos Chazon is the greatest Shabbos of the year, greater than all other Shabbosos. L'chayra, why do we call it Shabbos Chazon? Because it's named after Chazon Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu had a vision. What vision? It was a vision of pain. It's a vision of destruction. Why do we call the Shabbos Chazon? To remember the vision that everything is going to be ripped away from us. And we're going to lose everything. Ella says in the Nesivas Shalom, Shat is the Beloshen Chazon Merumaz Gam al Nevuah Shel Basura. Be'inin Chazon Yeshayahu Hu Shaboy Niskala Goydel Ahavas Hashem L'Yisrael B'chol HaMatzavim. It's true that the vision, part of it was destruction, but there was another part. And that part that was revealed is the part that we celebrate. Yeshayahu said, that Hashem said, Banim Gadalti V'Reimamti. I raised these children, Veheim Pashubi, and they sinned against me. Banim Mashchisim Izvuas Hashem. These corrupt children, my corrupt children, they abandoned Hashem. But what was the message? Sha'afilu kasher pashubi. And they are banim mashchisim. But what are they called? Banim. Harayu gamkein banim. And even Azvus Hashem, banim. Like we pass like Remeir, Shebenkach ubenkach kruyim banim. Remeir says that no matter what, whether you do the Ratzon Hashem, you don't do the Ratzon Hashem, you are called banim. We are considered children. And that's why it says, banim gadalti v'reimamti v'ein pashubi. He doesn't call them nasty people, strangers, Rishoyim, Oisvarvs, rebels. Banim, they're my children. I raise them. V'ein pashubi. Banim mashchisim. Yeah, maybe mashchisim, but they still have the title of banim. They didn't lose the title. They were azvos Hashem. And Hashem is crying. If we wouldn't be His children, He wouldn't care that much. But when it's your child that's failing, and your child that's dying, and your child that's azvos Hashem, banim, my son, it awakens that love, that mercy of pure banim, that there is no other relationship in the world that any person would tolerate the other person, would care so much about the other person failing, that it would bother them so much. Only a parent to a child. And benkach ubenkach kruyim banim. V'ha'av, and a parent, listen how to be a parent. Afilu b'shah shemanishes b'noi. Even when a parent has to punish his child, libay nikra b'kirboy. Migoydel avasei elav. We see that sometimes you have little kids and you have to punish them and the kid is crying. We know we're doing the right thing. But you know what? A little part of you is breaking. A little part of you is tearing up. You know, it hurts. I'm sorry. I know I have to do it, but it awakens a love when you hear the kid crying. The Kacha Eitzel HaKadosh Baruch Hu says in the Nesivas Shalom, so too by Hashem, Yisrael nikroim tamid banim b'chol matzav shehem. We're called always banim. But we're not just called banim as a group. We're not just, this message is not just for Klal Yisrael, it means even you. V'zeh shayich gam l'kol yochid. Every person needs to know. If you're going through pain, if you're going through challenges, if you're going through your own little Holocaust, whatever you're going through, at that moment that you feel that Hashem is merachik you, He's not with you, you're in a war with Him, you're angry at Him, He's angry at you, He's let down with you, you feel that He turned His hester upon Him, He turned away from you. Atzasa yamuna, your eitzah is one thing to believe, lahamin she'ahavas Hashem li Yisrael hi nitzchis. If we learn from the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Churban to the Klal, that at that moment, the Kruvim u'mu'urim zebazeh, that in your personal Churban, in your pain, you should know the Kruvim u'mu'urim zebazeh. Hashem is loving you. Hashem is caring about you. We can't understand. We don't know why you need this nituach, why you need this pain. We don't know where you're meant to go with it, where you're going to end up with it, and what you're going to do with it. So many organizations were started and people did extraordinary things when they went through horrible pain. Nobody would choose it or nobody says it's worth it. But a lot of good sometimes happens. Sometimes Hashem motivates people in certain ways. Sometimes it's a gilgul, sometimes it's a punishment, sometimes it's an opportunity. Sometimes people end up in situations to help other people. I've seen so many kids lose their lives and be at the bottom of the world, drug addicts, drug addiction, and off the derech, and I've seen so many of them come back and inspire hundreds. They never could have lived a normal life and achieved as much as they achieved in this journey. They never could have gotten as much schar in Olam Haba, which is for infinity and beyond, as much schar as they have through this. Nobody would choose it, nobody wants it, I understand. But sometimes Hashem has your best interest, but it hurts, that nituach hurts. But you have to remember this. There's a lesson for us. That if during the Churban of the whole Klal, the Kruvim Mu'urim, because Hashem was pouring out love to us, and if the feeling of Bein HaMatzarim, if the feeling of when Klal Yisrael was in a down, if that feeling awakened love and mercy from Hashem, yes, you could find me, I'm closer, I'm here, I'm next to you, then the same thing by us. If you're having a bad day, or a bad year, or going through a crisis, going through Churban, Hashem is with you. Closer than ever. You can reach out to Him. He's not in the palace anymore because you're His child and you're in pain. And to the degree of your pain, Hashem leaves the palace and Hashem comes to you. It's not just about everybody. It's a lesson, an individual lesson. When you feel thrown away, life is dark, you don't feel like Hashem's answering your tefillas, you don't see that you have a future, you're in pain, you should know you have one eitzah: have emunah. Have emunah that Hashem loves you and His love to you is eternal and infinite, beli gvul, unlimited. Because Hashem said, Hafti eschem amar Hashem. And when He said it, He meant it. May we not know from any more tzar. But as long as we're going through tzar, we have to internalize this message. And believe that Hashem is with us. Hashem is close to us. Standing with us in pain. Eibshaz will help from that Emir Hashem. By next Tisha B'Av, we should have the real Moed. Just the celebration of the internal closeness and love without the pain that brings it out.